everyone. Thanks so much for being here. We'll go ahead and get started. We're really glad to have this event and kind of start that conversation wherever you are in the process of what it might look like to move to more battery-powered equipment. And we're lucky to be joined here today by Jamie Banks from Quiet Communities, Dan Mabe from AGSA, and so I will turn it over to them to lead us through our program. But thank you for taking the time out of the day. I know there's work that could be done, so we really appreciate you being here in the middle of a work day.
Welcome everybody, and thanks for coming on a rainy day. I'm Jamie Banks. I'm going to be giving the first part of the presentation this morning, but before we get started, I want to let Michelle Sokolo speak. She's a Mass State House Representative and wants to welcome you all, and you're going to hear about her efforts to get legislation passed at the state level to facilitate this transition.
My pleasure, and Jamie, thank you for your leadership on this. It's been tremendous over the years what you've been able to accomplish and how you've been able to move this issue forward. Folks may know and understand that my district is heavily concerned about the environment and about the emissions that all of our motors and vehicles and equipment release into the atmosphere. But we're also worried about the health and safety of workers and the well-being and prosperity of small businesses. And one of the reasons that I chose to file the legislation that I filed was because I was concerned about the transition and the impact it would have on small businesses and on consumers of your services. So I filed H765, and I'm forgetting the title of that exact bill name at the moment, but it essentially asks for the creation of a program that the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs would run that would provide direct grants to small businesses and to municipalities to purchase electric equipment for all their landscaping equipment needs. So just for the commercial sector, not for consumers or homeowners. And I filed it last session, and then this session again perfected the bill by expanding it to also include no interest loans. So zero interest loans for the business owner that wants to try the equipment out, and grants if they're trading in a piece of equipment, so that we actually see the progression to electric happening by incentivizing it. This session, I was thrilled that Majority Leader on the Senate side, Senator Cindy Cream, filed the companion bill in the Senate, which is S451. And both of those bills got reported out of committee favorably and sent to the Senate Ways and Means. So we have been strategizing about possibly trying to bring the language forward in the Economic Development Bond Bill, because this is something expressly to help small businesses, and the Economic Development Bond Bill will be progressing through the legislature this session, likely toward the end of the session, toward June or July. And we're also looking for other moving vehicles that might make sense to submit this legislation. Possibly there's a bill for municipalities coming up as well. The Municipal Empowerment Act, that may be another opportunity to file it as an amendment, the bill itself. So the bill establishes a grant and loan program for low noise, low emissions landscape maintenance equipment. And with that, I guess I'm happy to answer any questions or share more information if anybody has any thoughts.
Okay, Michelle, thank you. Does anybody have any questions about the legislation?
Not about the legislation, but how about the machineries that she's touting that don't work? Mm-hmm. They're far, far below what we're using now. It's going to be a total flipping kick in the ass for us. It's absolutely ridiculous. So let's go electric trucks. So let's go this. There's not enough lithium in the country or Chile or any of the others to get all these batteries all together. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable.
Michelle, could you hear the question?
I could hear the question. So my bill only provides funding to support the transition. It's not asking everybody to transition overnight. It's just supporting the businesses that want to actually make the change. And I think that's one of the things that today's workshop is all about, to learn about how the equipment operates and how to use it efficiently and effectively and maintain the equipment. I think that's an important part of the transition itself. So I'm not sure, how it could be a downside to offer capital for small businesses. Looking for ways to make the transition easier, especially in view of the fact that my home community, that Lexington has created a ban, and so has nearby Arlington and several other communities in the Commonwealth are moving in that direction. And I was just concerned that there should be some resources for small businesses so they weren't left alone in this transition.
Well, Lexington's already got the ban, so we're already left alone anyway.
Yeah.
The town, you keep on smiling, but that's what, push comes to shove, that's what it's about. You have the town manager, you have sustainability people, and you have the DPWs that said it should be at least pushed back a year. Nothing. Less than 150 people voted for an entire community. And now we have to swallow? No, I don't think so.
I think that we're gonna address a lot of things here today. We know that this transition is a difficult one.
It's not
And
difficult, it's financially impossible.
Representative
Michelle is our
Sokolow
representative, she should hear
also
this.
knows.
Michelle is our representative, she's probably not heard as much as maybe some of the other people like you have, because you've been involved for a long time. Michelle may not have heard it firsthand.
Yes, but that said, Dan and I, Dan from the American Green Zone Alliance, and I from Quiet Communities, we've done this successfully for 11 years.
Right, but how many towns
It's
are
not-
converted over?
I agree. It's
So
a
you've
slow
been preaching for
transition.
11 years.
It may
came in
make
last 3
sense.
years ago.
It may make sense for some people, it may not for others.
We have no choice.
Okay.
We have no choice, we have to do a change next spring.
Supposedly.
So we understand that we're progressing, right? That's the idea of this, progressing, right? To safer, cleaner, okay, fully understand that. But does the bill make these companies that are making these battery operated machinery have their engineers work harder and to produce more efficient machinery? Because what we're using right now isn't efficient.
So Michelle, you're hearing all this, and a lot of it has to do with the Lexington ban and people feeling stuck. What Michelle's talking about right now is a bill at the state level to help the transition.
A 0% interest loan on buying a piece of equipment, say, an investment of $30,000, depending on how many pieces of equipment you have, that's gonna be obsolete or not functioning in the next 2 or 3 years. It's crazy. Why? What's 0% interest? We're still gonna pay out the 30 grand.
It also provides direct grants, which is just money to businesses
How
to
much?
buy.
What's the size of the grant? Is it per?
That has to be determined by the executive office. So the bill hasn't passed, and if it does, it directs the state agency, the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, to set up a program. And normally what would happen is they would take into consideration feedback and input from the landscape community and the people that are going to be served, and municipalities, because it also provides direct grants to municipalities.
What
So how much would depend on
What do you think the grant should be per company? Can you give us an idea in your own personal opinion? Should it be 5,000, 10,000, 100,000?
then the money can be spread around and potentially larger grants. But it is for direct grants as well as loans. So it's not just for blowers either, it's for all different types of equipment. So the Lexington ban, as you know, was put in place by town meeting. So that is a local decision that the municipality went forward with. That's not, something that is controlled at the state level. So that is a town by town decision. And as you know, the town also upheld the decision of town meeting at a ballot question that was held about 6 months after the original question. So, and then again, town meeting voted it again. So obviously the community is pretty serious about this. And my goal really was to try to find a way to help, because I understand it is going to be expensive for businesses, and I'm concerned that you all ought to have as much support as the state can give you. That's my role as a state elected official, to try to find ways to bring the state money back to the local districts that are impacted, especially my district, which is impacted. So, I'm doing what I can. I hear you about your concerns that the equipment may not be as advanced and as powerful as you'd like it to be, but I've seen it operating and very effective. I was at an event last year at the Botanic Garden in Central Mass, and that is the first one in the country that has gone all electric with all of their equipment. And if a botanical garden can run all electric equipment effectively, I think that it's not outside the realm of possibility that landscape companies can do it too. But we understand you shouldn't have to change overnight, and
Where's the
fortunately,
botanical garden get its money from? It's not from clients.
And if they don't then finish the botanical garden on 5 o'clock on Tuesday, they can show up on 8 o'clock on Wednesday. That's what they do, that's all they do in that place. So that's totally
It's irrelevant.
irrelevant.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah, exactly. It's irrelevant.
well, I think, I'm going to let you enjoy your seminar today because I think you're going to learn a lot more about the equipment. There's not much, I'm not an equipment expert, and obviously states that start to do this and provide money for electric transition is just going to help catalyze the industry and the market to improve the equipment, because it is a transition that we have to make over time. And, quite frankly, it is also those equipment, the small motors are dangerous for both hearing and the particles that come out of them. The two-stroke motors are much, much worse than four-stroke motors or cars that have catalytic converters and filters on them that are safer. And you yourselves and your workers are operating that equipment, and over the time, I think it will be a benefit to have safer equipment that's going to have less hearing loss and less chance of cancers and lung diseases that develop from it. So that's the other benefit that we want to see. And my only role in this is to try to provide some funding to make it easier as the public is making the requirement on all of you guys to convert. I want to provide a ramp, an on-ramp to support your businesses and the costs associated with making that transition, so it doesn't have to hit all on you. So with that, I really do have to go. I have another appointment that
Lexington has to be all electric blowers in March next year. If we show up somewhere trading in our gas blowers, will you have grant money ready by then? I don't think so, the way this state operates. We have to go in March.
I understand. I've been trying to provide the funding since last session, and I did actually bring home an earmark, which the community doled it out for.
Right, we've got that. We all have that, we all used it, all right? The sustainability people even said how difficult it was to buy the simplest equipment back then. And we're appreciative that we have it. But the next step is huge.
I get it, and that's why we're looking at every vehicle we can to try to move this grant. And I'm really pleased that I'm teamed up with the Senate Majority Leader, but I'm one member of 200 in a state with a lot of competing demands, and we're doing the best we can to find the resources to put toward this. That's all I can say. I mean, it's a top priority for me. I was the first person in the legislature to file a bill of this nature of any sort, and I continue to work on it. And I'm doing that because I'm concerned about, like as I said, the impact on small businesses.
We appreciate that, but I'll be dead and gone before there's any flipping money that comes from the state to me. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
I hope you're wrong.
No, I'm telling you right now.
I hope you live a good long life,
I'm
but.
right.
But I've sat and talked to both Secretary Howe, who is our Economic Development Secretary, and Secretary Tepper, who is the Environmental Secretary and happens to also live in Lexington. And I've centered this issue for them so that they know it's a top priority and that it's important. And I think they also value the opportunity to make an impact on worker safety. So the combined impact of doing something for small businesses, doing something for the environment, doing something for workers, it's a winning issue that will go forward at some point. And it has a good chance this session because it was reported out favorably. And as I said, Senator Cream on the Senate side has made this a priority of hers as well. And so that really bodes well for legislation moving forward. Will the program be launched and in place before next March? I can't tell you. If we get it in a bill this year, it's possible. It's absolutely possible, could be. But I continue to ask for earmarks and things that will help the community, and I will keep doing that so that funds can flow.
Have you met with any landscapers to get any idea of what that cost would be to the state for just the Lexington landscapers to get a grant? Do you have any idea what the equipment costs? Have you ever?
Yes, I do. Yes, I have. I've got lots of data from the DPW and some summary information about the cost of the equipment. I'm well aware that it's not cheap, and the commercial stuff is much more expensive than obviously residential stuff and things you could buy at Lowe's and Home Depot. I get that this is much more intense and professional equipment, but that's, I think that's what this session is going to be about, and I'm going to give you back to Jamie to go forward with the rest of the session. Okay?
Michelle,
Good,
thank
Michelle.
Thank you very much for all the efforts. It's unusual for a political representative to even take an interest in this
That's
issue
their job.
and to start
Just get in
understanding the
contact.
That's their
complexities.
job.
That's what they're supposed to do.
I understand, but she's very
I'm not the big one. It's
rare
supposed to be. That's what
in
it's
the
supposed to do.
country. I get it.
We
There you go.
appreciate
So
you very much. We have a lot of night, Michelle. We are going for.
I hear you guys all screaming, but I got a 10:30 in the building that I got to get to, so I don't have any more time, and I wish that we could talk further, but I will check in with Jamie afterwards and get your insights and any suggestions that come forward from the seminar that she's able to share with me. Okay? Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Michelle.
Bye-bye.
I don't think you guys really understand the impact that it has already had on us.
Okay,
We
so,
put out $30,000
I know.
last year for equipment that is, it's gonna be obsolete.
Okay, I have a request of you. If we could get through the workshop, we will have a lot of time for Q&A. We'll have a lot of time for comments. We have an appreciation. I'm going to introduce my colleague Dan, who's been in this industry for many, many years. Dan, can you just come up and say what you're going to be talking about?
Sure.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Dan May of American Green Zone Alliance. I really appreciate you showing up. I come from the grounds maintenance industry. I spent my summers and my weekends with the man of the house where I was doing this line of work. I had my own gas business. I switched to electric. AGSA is data-driven. We don't message, we're not political, and we're just going to present some case studies. In fact, I agree with a lot of what's being said here, okay? And AGSA is not gonna mince it. We're going to flush out how much this transition costs. Somebody asked how much per company. I'm gonna break down how much per trailer. And then I'm gonna show you examples that we lobbied for in California for a $30 million bill, and what technical and financial and economic information we gave the state to come up with that number, and we're hoping to help out here. So AGSA is pro-industry first, but we also understand that a lot of people are really frustrated with noise. So we're gonna present this today, and I'm here to just be raked over the coals, because everywhere I go, this is my role, is to be raked over the coals. I've done this in all parts of the country. I've done it in the Bronx. And believe me, we had to have police come in on that one. So anyways, I just really hope that you give my colleague Jamie a chance, and I hope you give me a chance. I'm not here to tell you what to do. In fact, AGSA would prefer carrots rather than sticks, and we have no qualms about saying that, and we do champion the industry. And I really hope a result of today is going to go up the channels to that state level. And I just can tell you right now, I am in the back channels telling them how much this transition costs. I'm going to give specific examples. And if you're being forced to do it, then AGSA is going to be there in the back channel saying, wait a minute, not so fast. If you're going to ban and regulate, we are going to encourage you to do X, X, and X. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Jamie, and then I'm going to come up here and tee up my presentation. And again, following the presentation, I look forward to being raked over the coals. That's my role. But again, you are not here from AGSA's perspective to be told what to do. Thank you.
I want to thank all the sponsors of this workshop today. You can see them here in the town of Lexington, several organizations in Wellesley, and a couple organizations in Lexington. So thank you, and thank you, Maggie, Brandon, everyone that's been helpful. Lexington was the first AXA certified green zone. You're going to learn about that. It's played an enormous role statewide in helping to promote this as a new technology. It was a host of the Mass State Workshop that was organized by Operational Services Division for public agencies and municipalities back in 2018, and then it was the co-host of a demo day here in Lexington back in 2020. So thank you, Lexington. As I said, we're a nonprofit organization. We've already gone through that. We're here with AXA. I'm going to let Dan explain what AXA is all about. But basically, their mission is to prudently transition the industry. And prudently is really the operative word here. We, as Dan mentioned, we're not fans of legislation or regulation. We really prefer a carrot and a multifaceted approach to make this transition happen over time and to make it a lasting transition. Not one where you buy a tool, it doesn't work, you throw it away. There's a big risk when these things happen. It just closes a door on a technology that has a lot of promise. So like everything else, we're seeing this in all different industries, including land care. So what is driving the change? It's the noise that people are going crazy, bringing pressures on their municipalities to enact regulations to try and get transitions to happen. It's the emissions, and it's climate concerns. There's over 200 regulations in the country. That number's growing pretty fast. Municipalities that have some kind of restriction on gas leaf blowers. So it's not going away. These pressures are just going to continue. There are noise guidelines set by the EPA and the World Health Organization that talk about what's safe for hearing and overall health. The occupational standard is 85 decibels over an 8-hour day. The community standards are significantly lower. 55 decibels is an outdoor average, and then depending on the setting, it can be anywhere from 30 to 75 decibels. Now this is at least 2 to 4 times quieter than the occupational standard. In terms of the equipment used in land care, this is a slide that comes from the Hearing Conservation Program from what's now known as the National Association of Landscape Professionals. The former name was Planet, and it's saying how much of the equipment exceeds that occupational safety standard. It says most of it, and some up to 1,000 times louder or noisier. That's the noise energy. 1,000-time difference in noise energy would be 8 times louder. And here's another slide. Can I get hearing damage? Now in the actual course, this is interactive. And so you can change the decibel exposure that you see here. Decibels, the number of hours you're exposed to and your age. So with that calculation, a 25-year-old exposed for 8 hours a day, 97 decibels, has a 2 out of 3 chance of having hearing loss by the time they're in their 60s. Wearing hearing protection, reducing the decibel level, lowers that risk very, very substantially. So while you're using gas equipment, please use ear protection. Makes a big difference. It's not just blowers, it's all kinds of equipment that exceed that safety standard. Okay, but blowers is what people complain about and consider often to be the most egregious. What you see here are the very popular commercial models of blowers. You can see that most of them at the ear of the operator, that's where these bars hit at the top, they're usually 100 decibels or higher. Very, very damaging to hearing without protection. But even at 50 feet, these levels still exceed by orders of magnitude what is considered safe for community members. So one of the issues with gas-powered blower noise that really accounts for why it's disturbing is that that kind of sound has a very strong low-frequency component, just like a bass component, like a boombox that you can hear. You can hear 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars away. It's the kind of sound that travels over long distances, and it can penetrate walls and windows easily. And so people cannot get away from the sound. If they're working, if they're an older person trying to take a nap, if they're a parent trying to get their baby to sleep, if they're a worker at night, they cannot get away from that noise in their house. And this is a lot of what is driving the anger. So this here is comparing 2 leaf blowers, quiet leaf blowers, 65 decibels, not the big commercial ones. But they're rated at the same level. It's a gas one and an electric one. They're both rated at 65 decibels at 50 feet. But what you see here is that the sound from the gas blower travels much further at loud levels, over 55 decibels, that community standard, than the electric blower. So even though they have the same rating, the sound quality is different for the gas blower. And we see this in other kinds of landscape equipment as well. And Dan, do you have that mower video that shows the decrease in sound over distance?
I have some stuff, sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
so anyway, you may see this illustrated in some videos. And lastly, there's all the exhaust, all the gas fumes. They're toxic, they're carcinogenic. Over time with chronic exposure, they can cause serious health issues. Okay, so let me switch gears. So this industry is in transition. It's happening very slowly. As I said, Dan and I started this 11 years ago. The technology was nowhere near. We're at a different point today, and we're looking towards greater technology improvement. But it is wholly different than a gas combustion platform. New energy sources, new motors, batteries, charging, robots, all kinds of things, and having to make this transition in a way that is profitable and satisfies customers is extremely challenging. But there's a huge opportunity. $100 billion a year is the revenues generated by your industry in the United States every year. There's benefits here: better health, improved quality of life, cleaner, healthier environment, healthier ecosystems, and handled properly, increased profitability. But contrary to popular opinion, gas is not electric. It's apples and oranges, like I think somebody here said already. And here's some of the considerations. It's a different business model. The equipment selection criteria, you have to be really smart to pick quality equipment that's going to do commercial scale work day in and day out. The equipment has to have certain specifications. There's work productivity issues. The blowers in particular, you're going to have loss in work production. Dan's going to talk about that some more. Storage and infrastructure needs, that's another cost. There's safety issues, there's battery recycling issues, repurposing issues, and of course, return on investment. So what we do is we have structured programs, we do workshops, but a lot of other things to make an effective and lasting change. What's challenging here is getting the public to recognize some of the challenges that we just mentioned. That not only the greater upfront expense, but a lot of these other long-lasting expenses, loss in work productivity, having the public officials understand the real cost of the transition. It's not just switching out tools. There's needs, safe and proper electrical infrastructure. The last thing you want is a fire or an accident. Gas has problems too. There's fires and so forth. Electric's not perfect either. Education and training is important, and again, recycling. What this all calls for is a number of things. Financial incentives, hopefully at the state level, perhaps at the federal level. That can be in the form of rebates, tax credits, adjustment of aesthetic expectations on the parts of customers. If they want a highly manicured aesthetic, that's a problem. You're gonna need a lot of batteries. It's gonna cost a lot of money. There needs to be a counterpart in resident education to explain the relationship between the transition and what their expectations are. Having homeowners purchase batteries or equipment for service providers is something that we've seen work in neighborhoods like HOAs. Like HO.
So leave it
This
on the
is-
driveway floor.
Okay, it may not work here. We have seen it work in different parts of the country. We work nationally.
Can you mandate that?
Okay, and then increased service premiums. You may need to charge more money. People need to understand that they may pay more for this.
You have to.
Okay. Okay, and then public-private partnerships. Okay, and I'll just end with the bill that Michelle introduced, if you want to follow up. There's a counterpart in the Senate, Senator Green, representing Wellesley. We're hoping that something gets passed here and that this can start to happen. And then lastly, we have an online certificate course. It teaches you all the basics on how to start with an electric operation. And I will end there. And thank you very much for listening. And I really do hope you learned something and enjoy it. And we're here to answer questions, to show you some wonderful equipment outside and inside and so forth. So with that, I think I'll introduce David.
First thing I want to do is the manufacturers who have taken their time to bring what they have. I know that some of you have already used their stuff, but I know that they have new things coming online. I'd like to invite the manufacturers up first, just to introduce themselves and to make sure that you guys hang around, go and speak to them, and make sure that they answer all the questions today. So if I can get somebody from each manufacturer who took your time here today, that'd be very much appreciated. Alan, I'll have you go first. This is Alan from Husqvarna.
How you doing? My name's Alan from Husqvarna. I do have a booth set up inside. Of course, everybody wants to try equipment, so we'll do that outside, but have some charts just to show about battery stuff. A couple of highlights that we do have. We just released a battery saw, the first ever with a clutch. So that's exciting. And a battery rail system that charges up to 8 batteries overnight. So a lot of good stuff. So I'll be over there to answer any questions, and we'll try some stuff.
Thank you, Alan.
What's going on, guys? My name is Joe Cox. I work for the distributor, actually, of Mean Green Mowers up here in New England. I've got 2 of our units out there, a 36-inch standard and a 60-inch sit-down. The biggest thing with the Mean Green Mowers is you are getting actual all-day commercial power on a single charge. So charge overnight and you're good the whole next day. We have not found anyone that's run into issues with that yet. And in terms of power, most of them are the equivalent, the smaller one's equivalent of about a 28 horse gas engine, and the bigger one's equivalent of a 32. So there's no shortage of power there. So come out and test it out for yourself because they're pretty impressive.
Joe, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Did you mention the 96 that's coming out?
Yeah, we do have a 96-inch sit-down mower coming out, wide area mower. Bat wings and everything kind of looks similar to what you'd see with the X-Marks. So that's going to be equivalent to like, what is it, a 45 horsepower diesel. So, and it's coming in kind of right at the same price point as those diesels. So anyone looking at wide area mowers, you can get the lack of maintenance, things like that, all at this similar price point. So.
Price point on those standards that you have out there are at least double or more than double a regular standard unit?
That's correct. But the big thing with that is you're getting 8,000 hours out of a battery. I would guess most people in here have not used a single gas mower more than 2,000 hours. So you're getting the life of almost 4 mowers out of 1 mower. So double the price, but 4 times the life. So.
Thank you, Joe.
What's going on, everybody? I am Patty McKechnie. I'm a technical specialist with Steel Inc. through Northeast Steel down in Connecticut. We are outside, my coworker Dan and I. We have a bunch of battery handheld
answer all the questions you guys have, hopefully. So come out, try the equipment, and let us know what you think.
And also, did you want to mention the other stuff that's going to be, that's on the market that Ags is currently testing?
Yeah, so we do have a new this year Q1 battery zero-turn mower. 8 hours of runtime, 21 acres of cut time, really sharp unit. We don't have it outside, but I might have it in a trailer somewhere, maybe down the road. So we'll share contact info, again, answer any questions, and spend as much time with all of these manufacturers, because we're all trying to achieve the same goal of answering your guys' questions and making the transition to battery way easier. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Michael Jaffe with AOS of New England. We're located in Dover, so right next door. Primarily, we we're manufacturer agnostic, dealing with robotic mowers. We also have electric battery operated hand tools. The mowers are down in size to 1/8 of an acre, all the way up to handling per mower 18 acres. I will guarantee that they'll be more cost effective than traditional mowing. We will work on a sale or service model. So if anybody is interested in trying out on service, there's a monthly cost for each mower, and that's it. So we're outside, we have a couple of mowers, we'll probably get one up and running, and we'll have one to play with on an Xbox remote. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, I know it is spring, it rained. I was shadowing crews for the last 2 days here, and I know you gotta get back to work, so I have quite a bit of slides. I may just advance and not show everything, and to respect your time, I'm gonna try to hone in on what I heard and see what is most relevant. But before we continue, I too want to thank all the sponsors, the town of Lexington. I know you guys are doing your best with all of the different voices from this side, from that side. Again, Ags is neutral on all that, but we definitely want to address the data and what the challenges are. And I do want to say, we have case studies and examples of institutional success, and we know that routes are definitely the most challenging out of all of this. So we're going to present some data, and hopefully that is going to find its way up to the legislative level, and we are really going to try to get you guys some financial relief that's meaningful, in not the form of tax credits, which are always good, but actually point of sale reductions. And we're going to give some specific examples of really incredible point of sale reductions in other areas of the country, and hopefully we can get some of that here. That's me, Dan Mabe. A little bit about my background. I come from the industry, as you know. Again, we're not here to change the industry. We're here to basically show an alternative. This is all volunteer in our world. It's completely volunteer. Frankly, when I had my gas business, there was one particular incident where someone was so pissed off about my gas leaf blower, it turned into a physical altercation. And then I went home and I just, I was like, what can be done differently? So I started an all-electric business back in 2003, and that is what we call the pre-lithiafic era. And believe me, I'll never get the money back that I put into all this, but at least I can stand here in front of you and, practically naked and tell the truth about what's going on out there. So we knew that this transition was going to need a structure. We never intended our success to be mistaken that this can just be done. We do have a relationship with the National Association of Landscape Professionals. We're partnered to help the industry responsibly transition in places where they're being forced to, or should they want to. One is Ags and Green Zone certification, that's property transition. Number 2 is workforce certificate training. And number 3, and thank you everybody for being here, these are the brands that we independently test. They are not allowed to be involved in our testing. All of these brands, their platforms have been tested by crews across the entire country. Data has been collected, and we're going to be available for you to ask us questions specifically about these brands, okay? And just to note, all of these brands have had to go through one heat cycle in the Mojave Desert. It's one of the hottest places in the entire world. Happens to be a couple of hours from where I live in Southern California. And so we're very fortunate to torture test this stuff mercilessly. And I'll be more than happy to answer any question about it. Okay, here's some of that independent testing. This is down actually next to the border in Calexico, California. It's hot as H there. It gets about 117. They are pretty much done with their work by 11 a.m. In the testing, they have found the equipment in this environment, not yours. I'm just showing examples in this environment to be effective enough where they can use it earlier, there's less noise, and they can finish up not by 11, but 10 a.m. in the morning during the summer. As I mentioned, the pre-lithiolithic era, I was doing this without advanced tools like they have now. And just for laughs, if we can bring some levity, hopefully, this was the business that I had.
This is no ordinary landscape.
Starting out in 2004.
This is landscaping done the great station way. The leaves had fallen, the grass had grown, the need for some cleanup had clearly been shown. Oh, look, whack, 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 and blow, blow, blow. Onward with the mower, do-si-do. Oh, and there's more, for the earth's sake. Let's not forget a good old-fashioned rake, topped off with a sweep to finalize the green upkeep. All done with the environment in mind, and true landscaping.
All right, that's still my number if you want to call me. Okay, look, I know, ha ha, laugh, but you know what? I was full-blown gas. I created this business and actually I built the route up to 70 homes, found that niche, and yes, those clients had to pay 45% more for my time. I found that niche, it was profitable. I thought I was gonna sell this for a 5, 10x multiple and go into something else, and no one wanted it. It was too far ahead of its time. So I just wanna let you know, we're not suggesting you do this, but I was able to find this niche, and we do have credibility because I was doing this before lithium, so much so, and the state of Massachusetts could be very proud. Who knows who A123 Systems is?
It's a battery company in Westboro.
There you go. When they perfected their iron phosphate modules, I started to make my own lithium packs to interface with the equipment that was on the market, because what was there was not even close to what's out there today. And you know what? It really helped my business. We worked with aerospace companies. This one, we work with 2 aerospace companies now. Both of them have contracts with the DOD. Who knows who the DOD is? That's right, Thrust Technology. And I'll play this. Now, I still have some of the patent work on this if anybody's interested.
I can barely hear that. Is that the 132?
Oh, come on, man, we didn't throw it a softball. Look at that thatch. Just listen to that. So I'm wearing a regular backpack, and actually it's 2 of those A123 systems modules and this is all prototype right here. But the point being is, I mean, we were able to calibrate this. It had an app, and we were able to manipulate the CFM settings up and down from an app, and we got that thing up to 700 CFM. And this prototype here actually lended to some of the technologies that is out on the market today. We know it's not perfect, but I do have another example that we should all get excited about soon. But demand for change, bans, restrictions, regulations, you know where we stand on this. And we're not just saying, hey, we're the good guys. No, I'm not saying that. We are trying to help everybody out. And I myself do have tinnitus from not protecting my ears in the industry, okay? And I know people are pissed off about the noise. That's really what this is all about. But you do have very well-organized groups. They're not going away, okay? They're concerned about noise and localized pollution. Some are positioning this as a climate issue, which we frown on. And I'll tell you why. It's because we know we're responsible for a lot of noise and criteria pollution, okay? But as a whole, definitely every bit helps with CO2 emissions, but our industry is not a significant contributor to climate change emissions compared to other industries. And these well-organized groups, nonprofits, are not going away.
I had a question.
Quickly,
Yeah, you mentioned that it's mainly noise. So my question is, if we can't make noise during business hours, when can contractors make noise?
That's not for me to decide. I'm just telling you what they're pissed off about.
That's what I'm
They're
saying.
also pissed off about
Everybody-
pickle. I mean, what
Right.
difference does it
It's
make?
noise. It's
Right,
everybody works
right,
on
and this is
noise.
why I have this slide right here. There's lots of impacts, but this is what's really bringing the attention to our industry.
The business hours, so I run a chainsaw all day, that's okay, but not my backpack blower?
That's not for me to decide.
I run a chipper all day, but not my backpack blower?
Exactly, that's not for me to decide.
Feels like it's against our industry.
It is.
So,
Like it's-
but as we know though, it's not going away. I'm telling you, it's not going away. And we frown on this. We don't like the pitchforks and torches approach. We do not appreciate people demonizing us or the industry. This is me. Sorry, steel, I preferred Echo when I would have gas stuff. I had a lot of steel gas stuff, but for blowers, I used to use a lot of Echo blowers. Although I did have some of my BR models. But, you know, my go-to was the Echo PB770. But yes, I'm this right here. If you want to demonize me, then demonize me. But I used to use gas leaf blowers. And, you know, again, to hit it home on the noise, because it's really about noise in most places, this is where people are at. The gas stuff comes. And then if you're using electric, because of the noise profile, the frequency, the electric is substantially lower noise. Okay, and here's an example. Now, to put it into clear context, this is not the fall in the Northeast. Now, I have a slide next that shows the fall in the Northeast. But to put it into context, where we have our certifications, this is working. And it's working well. And this is from after spring cleanup all the way till just when fall is about to start.
Okay, Ags are raw here. Real world, real people, real maintenance situations. We have a Steel BGA 100 backpack battery leaf blower. This is a very hardworking guy. I know him personally. He is one of the crews that help maintain one of Ags's green zone cities. And as you could not hear barely what he's doing, he's about 10 feet away from me. And you can see how they've been trained with the certification to use the blower judiciously, not more power than needed. We do encourage them to kick up the least amount of dust and to use rakes and brooms mixed in with the electric technology. Till next time.
Okay, before you go in there, this company was paid more to do it like this. The city accounted for their time, okay? That's why he could do that. And that's what the city wanted. That is an AR3000 battery, not an AR3000L. It's a BGA 100.
And at that power level, we know that he's operating at around 8 cents an hour. So we've been doing this, we track it, we know that this company has really saved significantly after year 3. Their tools are going on year 6 and 7 now, I'll show you that. But yeah, they've saved a lot of money. And I'm putting it into context, please, because we're acknowledging time is money and you have to account for our time. 3.5 horsepower, Briggs & Stratton. Engine, this is what I used to use for my go-karts, my mini bike, my snapper lawnmower. I'm 54. I don't know if you guys use snappers here, but that was one of the best lawnmowers ever made, in my opinion. We're going from that to this. Can we get one AR3000L battery or a backpack battery? Could one of you guys bring something in, a couple of batteries on board or whatever? But every single battery has a BMS, a battery management system. It has the controller, those components on the controller. This is where you're gonna differentiate between manufacturers. Believe it or not, those chips, all of those components on that board, stamped on that board, the quality of those is going to really dictate the quality of an electric tool, okay? It's also gonna be the injection molding material. It's ergonomic design, and then the motor itself, it doesn't have great heat-seeking availability. I'm gonna say that almost all of the motors on the market are rated for at least 5,000 hours. The battery management system, the BMS, it's going to help charge the battery, and it's going to help discharge the battery under load and keep it in that zone where you're not going to damage the most expensive part of the battery, which are the cells. Now, in the way it produces torque, there's going to be tools that are not going to be as strong as gas. We know that, but as a technology, the way it produces torque, it's more efficient, it's more simple, and it can be more profitable. Now, it can be disastrously unprofitable. That's going to be decided if you choose the right platform and if the tools are going to be taken care of. Here's some examples of institutional green zones. We have different levels, and we'll go through these pretty quick because I know that institutional is not a route. You guys who have routes, who are here today, have it the worst. You have it the most challenging. It's acknowledged because I used to do it. City of South Pasadena, smaller city. We started with a 10-acre park. We have what they call invasive kikuya grass. It's a warm season grass that's like carpet, okay? About 5 acres. We were able to do this park, take the data. Again, AGSA doesn't do anything else but data, okay? We took the workload differences on the mowing, the weed whipping, the stick edging, and the blower, the mowing, all of it. And we knew where the shortcomings were as far as workload, production, percentage loss. But then we were also, over an 8-month period, able to determine the cost-benefit analysis and the trajectory of what we knew the tools could last for. So with that data, they moved to an entire green zone certification. Now, whether you like it or not, you're probably going to be very important here today. I know Representative Socolo, she came on. She's at the state level. Who knows if she even knew what Lexington was doing? And Lexington has their reasons.
She lives here, she knows what's going on.
Okay, I did not know that. That's why I said I'm flown in, but we could talk about that. Well, I'm gonna be given that data. We'll talk and I am your voice. These things are big. Okay, there's reps that come, they see this going on, and it encourages them to try to get the funding for you guys. So this is done through the lens of us. AGSA Green Zone certification is reasonable. Okay, this is not asymmetric for this particular place on our industry. And this green zone was paired with 2 programs, 70% off, no gas trade-in, retail point of sale, go into the dealer, 70% off. Your cap was $30,000.
Then there was another program, 85% off with a gas trade-in. Point of sale, no admin. All of the dealers do the admin in the back channel. Okay, Prologis, does anybody know who Prologis is? They're global. About 2.5% of our GDP runs through Prologis. They brought in the AGSA Green Zone standard. You know why? Because they knew it was challenging. They have the standard in place, they have ESG programs, they have sustainability programs. And what I do with Quiet Communities and my colleague, Jamie Banks, we measure all of this with a software, and we give the actual statistics. They want that. And we were brought in to help them meet the transition. And you know what? This is 4 seasons. If any one of you want a reference, this is a full-blown gas business that transitioned for Prologis. We're going at the end of the season, year 3. We have the cost-benefit analysis. We knew how much it cost with the gas and then the electric. And this is a private company doing these type of commercial properties for Prologis. We know that they've already reached their ROI on the handheld stuff. They're gonna have to delay about another 1.5 years, maybe 2 years on the large mowers. But if those mowers last 2 more years, they're in the clear. We certify them. We bring them into our certification and education circle and show them how they can do this. Everybody wins. Prologis gets what they want. The vendors are happy, and then they're able to let everybody know, and their board, their shareholders, and the people who rent their properties that they're doing this. We've done this at USC. I didn't have any idea that they were putting this on the Jumbotron at their games, but my buddy took a picture of this. So we just want to let you know, we're not here making this up from a cubicle. Like, this has been going on a long time. We've done golf courses. Now, what's important about this one is you see that Jacobson triplex mower? We took used Tesla Model 3 cells, and it had 68,000 miles on it when it crashed. We worked with a local battery company. We made 4 48-volt modules. We took the engine out of that thing and put in the electric system. It's been running this July for 5 years. And completely transparent. Arroyo Seco Golf Course, South Pasadena. You want references, I'll give them to you. And there is an economy now to harvest and then use lithium cells to repurpose for other lifespans. And then there is an economy now to actually recycle lithium cells. Now, we expect these cells to go 5 more years under this specific workload. And this is 18 greens and a practice green every single day, 7 days a week. The money they've saved is ridiculous. After we're done with this one, it's gonna go to a 3rd life as battery storage from solar. So it'll be like a storage power wall, if you will, those batteries. We've done state parks, again, institutional, much easier, but we have done private companies with HOAs, and it has not been easy. And this particular company here, they probably have 7 different HOAs. Each HOA averages about 200 buildings, properties, or buildings within that property. And they were able to capitalize on the South Coast Air Quality Management District program there in Southern California. They traded in all their old blowers, and they got these new ones for 85% off. We ran the cost-benefit analysis, and their ROI was 1 month after they procured those blowers. And again, this is an example of what we measure, and this measurement is for us, through us, for the industry. So no one can say you're responsible for something you're not responsible for. And here's where we have our current AGSA certified green zones. Yeah, you're looking at that, Texas, Alabama, they're expanding, Florida. What do we have here? We have the Botanical Garden, that's right, Robert is here. New England Botanic Garden. Wait, can you tell us the name of the Botanic Garden?
There you go, because the name changed since I went there the first time. Thank you, Robert. So yes, this is me. Now, they did pass a bill, a state bill on California. This is Lexington, but this is a state bill. And the bill, AB 1346, says, guess what? Every single dealer in the state, you cannot sell a category of SOAR, small off-road engine, from 40 cc up to 25 horsepower, starting 2024 January. Anything that's in the state or manufactured up to December 2023, it can come in the state and be sold. But after that, no. They did not ban the use of it. So we went up there and said, hey, look, maybe we should do something different. And we said, if you're going to do that, here's the challenges to our industry. And we asked for $100 million for the industry. I mean, I'm saying that with a straight face, $100 million. They gave us $30 million. And we think we're going to get a reset, another $30 million for the industry. What do we say? We say, well, wait a minute, let's go back historically. Let's look at the funding for solar and EVs historically. And then we say, wait a minute, where is ours? Here's an example of the CORE program. We did the outreach for the state of California. My gosh, man, was that something else. But this was highly successful. $30 million went poof in 10 months. Air districts there, 85% off retail with your old gas trade-in. It's not just funding for equipment. They bring us in to engage the industry to adequately and properly educate the industry. We know that a blower and 2 or 3 onboard batteries, hey, that's great. You know, if there's for a small place like Lexington, that was a great program. But we understand that there's bigger challenges ahead once we learned, and I just learned this on my trip here about the 2025 deadline, by the way. Okay, work productivity, runtime versus working time. And I'm gonna play this, and I hope you guys are patient, because this is for legislators and town people to really understand what kind of challenge you're faced with. This is just a little situation here in Southern California. Okay, we're back. We charged up the AR2000L battery. Based on the state of charge where this was, it took a little over 2 hours. You can see the setup here. I am here with the authority. Jesus is the authority. This is what he likes. The 2000 AR2000L battery with the steel VGA 300. He's going to service this entire property with his buddy right here. We're not putting anybody's face.
Well, I accidentally put his face, sorry.
I don't film your face, don't worry. Okay, this is Jesus. We can't see his face, but these guys work every single day out here in the field. Jesus.
It was brief.
We're going to go ahead and get this going, and then we're going to understand how long it takes for you to do this property and what kind of working time you get out. Okay.
Okay. We shadow. We don't mince it. I mean, we're going to go out there and shadow the gas first, and we're going to understand battery to gas tank ratios, workload production. Okay, now take a look at this property. It's not even that.
Okay, ags are raw. This is not a well-produced video. You can see the workers here. This is real world. They start from the back of the property, and they're gonna work their way all the way up to the front. Okay, check back in soon.
So there's 2 oak trees that canopy this property. This is the aesthetic expectation of what people want. And then this is the end right here, and here's the punchline. Sorry about that. Trying to set this. Okay, so basically what we found is this property, which is 6,000 square feet total. It doesn't even have turf. It's all native, drought tolerant design. We look here. Roughly 33 minutes of working time, and the battery is 50% depleted. Okay, now they do have the other AR3000L, it's heavier. Jesus prefers the 2000L and to have more batteries. But again, they were afforded the situation to bring the cost down to where it made sense, and they were getting this electric stuff pretty much equal with their gas. That's the point. Okay?
Are you boasting about a 6,000 square foot area and use half a battery?
I'm not boasting it. I'm just showing the reality. Why would I be
It
boasting?
doesn't compare. I don't have a place that's that small.
I understand that. The point is this. I understand that. I'm actually showing it on your behalf of how challenging it is.
We know that.
We know that.
Okay,
We don't sit
tell
and
customers how challenging it is. If you could get our customers to pay more, we know all that. The customers and the town people don't know that. You wanna get the townspeople and tell them.
Tonight.
you know, I'll
Is it
charge
tonight?
more, they'll be fine with it.
Tomorrow night or tonight?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, we're meeting with them too, and they're gonna see all this, by the way.
They'll eat this up. Everything will be more money.
Hold on, I'm almost there.
You're gonna cost them more.
Okay, so, like I said, battery to gas tank ratios, we're gonna see how it all goes, but what we're suggesting, okay, and here's the northeast, right here.
All dry leaves. No rain.
Actually, you're wrong, there's a little snow mixed in there. This is, this was quite challenging.
We didn't have any snow.
And to your point, what Ags is saying is, look, we saw how fast they did it with the gas, then we did it with electric systems, and what we determined in this specific setting is you would need at least 3 to 4 batteries.
Is he gonna blow them into the woods uphill, or should we blow them down the street down?
They blow on that property up into the woods.
Okay.
Yep. So here's a situation where this was successful. This is a school district in Southern California. They replaced 500 handheld blowers. You see the gas ones on the right they replaced. These are actually BGA 85s. It's one of the best little handheld blowers I know about because I have one that's about 11 years old and it's still working. And then again, battery to gas tank ratios, we're going to be giving this information to everybody that needs to hear about the costs.
Is the steel ref here still?
Yes.
Would he tell me how much that costs, that setup, every one of those batteries? I mean, that unit, how much is that investment?
With enough batteries to run it for a day.
Can you tell me that?
So that battery up front, the AR3000L, is 61 minutes of runtime. The one on the table right there.
These are I think these are a combination of 2000 and 3000Ls. We can probably go 3 2000Ls and 2 AR3000Ls.
We don't, what's there?
So that battery with the carry system, the charger, the adapter, everything that you would need to be able to plug it into one of the tools is right around $1,300. We are getting under about 2,000 charge cycles. So charge cycles are at 0 to 100%.
So
You're getting only a 90% depletion. So you're gonna get
talk, you can get 10 years of.
No, we're not talking years, we're talking one day.
How much does it cost?
How much does it cost?
I know it, so that one, I mean, we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Probably around 7,000.
For all that equipment
For
and
one,
one
just
battery?
one back.
No, for all of that in the picture. Right?
All in the picture.
Yes,
yeah.
all in the picture.
And
Carrying system.
one battery per
No,
unit.
that's all those there, those are all bad.
7,000.
Can you buy the battery by itself? Like, he said he did a property, he used 4 batteries. You buy a carrier system plus 4 batteries.
Oh, yeah, you can buy
So the battery is cheaper than the carrier
So
system.
the batteries,
Plus the battery.
the battery is the orange color. Everything in that photo is 7,000. Each individual battery is around 1,300, 1,400.
All right, so that's where, so how much is the backpack unit? So 700,
My blower, how long is that one battery?
an hour.
61 minutes, open draw all the time.
So I need at least 7 batteries to get through a day.
Yeah.
If I wanna work 8 hours, I need at least 7 batteries.
So that's $9,100.
So that, you know, they're putting it at like maximum full tilt. So runtime and working time are 2 different things.
No.
How long does it take to charge it, fully charge?
Full charge.
The battery costs $1,300, what does the blower cost?
So altogether, you're looking at around 2,200.
2,200 for the blower?
Everything for the blower.
So the whole thing is 2,200 plus, I probably need 6 or 7 more batteries at 1,300 each.
Yeah.
So 6,000 just for batteries, then the unit, so we're like at 8,000 for this unit to run it all day.
Yeah, it's
And the 8,000 for this unit, for an industry where the industry general net profit is 3%, you're gonna have to go from a $500 blower to an $8,000 to $9,000 to $10,000 blower. Yes, that's very hard to do. Even if we love the environment and we're against the noise, how are we gonna afford a $500 blower that now costs $8,000? Anyone? Who's got an answer for it? Anyone?
I haven't come up with that yet.
Dan, if you could go back a slide, I saw you had opportunity to charge in the field, and I think there's a solution, at least a partial solution there.
Okay.
My company, we charge batteries at the house when we need to, but we also charge off the solar panel on our trucks, so.
What if you have an open?
And so, instead of spending all the money towards more batteries, getting a solar system, which can start at like $2,000 on your truck, you can actually double your capacity.
You know, when I had my route, I would work it out with the clients. I'd tell them, hey, it's gonna cost you 7 cents when I plug in. Will you allow me to plug in? We don't know. I don't know the exact answers, but we're just here to give you examples and what the reality is. But definitely something's, you know, some solutions gotta give. Here's a situation where we test with that aerospace company. We do simulations, and again, we're excited about this, and you can see how quiet it really is.
Definitely, can't hear a thing.
Yeah, all right. It's whisper.
Most of our houses have a big giant parking lot around their facility.
And woods.
And
Whisper Arrow, there's hope. I spoke to them this morning. Now they also have contracts with the DOD. One of these manufacturers is gonna work with them. I went there to their Nashville headquarters and my jaw dropped. What they're putting together here with their fan design is it's gonna give you 40% more airflow, which is gonna put it on par with the gas ones. It's gonna be actually quieter, and it's gonna be 40% more powerful. And what that can do is lower the weights, make it more powerful, and it's gonna be actually even more quieter than the top ones on the market right now. So we happen to know that this company is working with some of the top manufacturers to see, you know, how they can integrate this technology. So, battery to gas tank ratios, it's not just the blowers. If you decided to go with the weed whips, we again are out there. We're understanding that with gas, some of the models, you're gonna get 3 hours of working time on 1 tank of gas, okay? So the average battery to gas tank ratio is 3 to 4 with the larger gas tanks, and then you can see how we pair the amount of batteries to 1 tank of gas based on the actual model. And this was done by measuring it 1 at a time, second for second, minute by minute out in the field. This is a situation where Tony has his batteries at this company. This company actually, they have everybody own their electric stuff by name and their little storage space that they set up for them. I don't know if you're using the electric trimmers, but here are them in action.
Okay, Dan Mabe here in Lemon, Illinois. Here with Tony and Four Seasons. He is using the Steel FSA 130R string trimmer. And
Sorry, 135.
as you can see, the work production rate is very similar to a two-stroke vine trimmer. And as you can hear, not nearly as loud. And I'm shadowing Tony, and I cannot tell you how nice it is that I'm not breathing two-stroke exhaust.
Okay, here's this season. Okay, this is going on 3 years here. Same exact tool, same exact batteries, same exact chargers, all tracked by serial number. This is here in Massachusetts, Red Max versus the Husqvarna's there. It's 3 series, the 5 series, okay? We're accounting for string reloads, and what we're finding is they're taking 2.5 to 4 batteries given on the intensity of the growth, and that is, I'm not at liberty to say because it's a big green zone that's in process, and we're not allowed to say it yet, but it's hundreds of acres that has to be done every single day in zones. This was the other day after it rained. And there, I mean, this worker here, he's putting on the backpack with the umbilical cord because he quadruples his runtime. And I'm just saying, when it comes to string trimmers and hedge trimmers and light duty saws and stick edgers all day long, no problem, conversion. The gas and the electric blower thing, that's a little bit more asymmetrical. Going to the large mowers, a lot of people say they don't last. I just want to show you some of the abuse they go through.
Now this is a very skilled operator right here. You can see this is a 60-inch riding mower.
Standing mower. Personally, I would have done this with a 21-inch myself. He was pretty skilled, but this is Prologis. These things are going, the mowers are going on season 4, and yeah, they were trained not to just bump it up forward, back it up, get it up there, but that's what it goes through every single day. This situation is different. You'll probably laugh at this one. This is Union, by the way. Better. The point is, I just can't believe the punishment these mowers are taking, and they're still working. I mean, they're trying to break the mower, and it refuses to break. This is more ideal.
Just break the bank.
You know know what? We have some specific situations where they're showing profitability.
Yeah, but that's no bad. You're shooting grass everywhere.
And again, it's very situational. Your specific situation may not be adaptable to big mowers. And we're just showing you case studies. You don't have to do anything. And you're gonna have to make a move on blowers as we learned. But for the mowers, for this company in this setting, it's entirely profitable.
Where is that company out of? Based out of?
They are out of like Naperville, Illinois.
Do you have case studies here in Massachusetts? Or
Yeah,
especially-
yeah, we do.
Do they have, nobody in this room heard of them. You say they're as big as, you know,
National.
a national company.
I didn't say Four Seasons was national.
No, that Prologic,
Prologis is not national, they're global.
well, you mentioned that. I don't-
You would have to look them up and understand them, but they're
not, I couldn't even find them
they're a global company. They're massive.
in, okay.
Yeah, all of the companies, sir, that are under the certification are now starting to get contracts with Prologis because they went this way. But they didn't say just go ahead and do it. They brought us in there to make sure they were profitable, unequivocal. And that I can stand here and look you in the eye for that given situation, and it is profitable.
But are they in the Northeast?
Yeah.
Okay, they are.
Prologis is yeah.
Yes.
Where?
They're in every state in the country.
So, Massachusetts, you know
Yes.
where they are?
They own commercial property in all 50 states.
So, but do they sub out that commercial property maintenance to any one of us possibly?
Possibly.
Themselves.
Possibly. If you go.
They're a real estate company.
Yeah, no, they have an open RFP system. If you learn about when they put the RFP out, then yes, you can possibly get a contract with Prologis.
And then just, if I could jump in, the companies that are renting from Prologis, first they demanded of the real estate that they do things more environmentally friendly. Now they're demanding of Prologis that they're doing things outdoors in their complexes more friendly. So Prologis is actually able to get a premium in rents because there are corporate customers, tenants, that are willing to pay more to have buildings and their outdoors more environmentally friendly. And in turn, Prologis pays landscaping companies more in order to have that level of environmentally friendly service.
They'd have to.
They do.
And that's what we're saying for this given situation. And here, Michael, thank you, AOS. AGSA was skeptical about robotics, but we invested a lot of time to learn from all the companies, test their stuff independently, and we know Husqvarna makes a great robotic mower. In fact, you know, a lot of their robotic systems have created robotic mower AGSA certified green zones. Just a quick example of one.
Okay, Dan Mabe, American Green Zone Alliance here at the HOA AGSA certified green zone through the Langton Group. Look at that little guy right there. Did that little patch. Now he's going to the next patch. It can actually cross hardscape and go and mow this other section. You don't hear it, no emissions. It's just amazing. Until next time.
So here's a situation where it is working. Not a lot of trees, okay? Not a lot of trees. The robotics graze. They don't mow militant lines once a week. They really make the turf quite healthy because there's less compaction. It's micro cutting, and bang for your buck when you go into electric systems that are robotics, it's going to reduce the noise more than any other gas to electric tool. Now, and Michael's going to be transparent about this, and AGSA wants to tell you, It's about ethical assessment, ethical installations, and you really need to do your homework before you go into robotics. But we know AOS to be an ethical company that helps people go into this space and enhance their business models. I'm telling you, this is a company that has 300 employees, and they were struggling. It didn't steal anybody's job. In fact, it saved them. They were able to shift to robotics on the properties that were entirely appropriate for it. Appropriate. No square pegs down round holes, and this worked out for this given situation. There were other situations where there wasn't power to bring to the little charging and docking pad and bay. So what they did was they put solar panels with iron phosphate batteries and an inverter so they can do this remotely. And we're talking like 10, 15, 20 acres of grass being mowed by these things remotely out there. So it's going to come down to this. We're going to tell you right now, electric's not going to adjust to you. You will have to adjust to electric if you're going to go in that direction. It is a new approach. Let's not forget about the new best practices. A lot of people in Lexington, I've done surveys here, and they really do want to be better stewards of the environment as homeowners. Again, we're going to say if you offer them these different types of approaches of services, you want to add more enhancements for sustainable lawn care, and you really want to account for your valuable time. We are not suggesting that you do things for the same price if you're losing work production rate and you're changing your business model. If you do change your business model, which is not easy, we're saying there's other things you can offer clients that we know companies here in this area that I've shadowed in the last 3 days, and they are killing it. So you need to find the clients that want some of this, and my suggestion would be not to just change your business model on a dime, but start to experiment and seeing what your business can get by offering some of these different services. With battery tools in general, if you want them to last and you want to get to that ROI, it's going to be about handling with care. Just don't outright abuse them. These are pieces of tools that have electronic components in them. So the more you can mount your tools and not bang them around is going to be better. You're not going to use water. The compressor is going to be your new best friend. This is a steel electric pole saw. It stopped working, and they wondered why. So they started to really say, oh, this electric piece of you know what. Well, when I went over there, I took it apart, and this is what I found. I actually serviced this tool myself, and then guess what? After I cleaned it up, oiled everything up, lubricated it, it started working again. So with electric, it's about preventative maintenance. Here's a little example.
Good morning, Dan May of American Green Zone Alliance. Just a quick tutorial on maintenance of commercial electric tools. Here you see we have a couple of steel blowers. We have a backpack battery, a hedge trimmer, a charger, and then we also have a bunch of, if we can see here, onboard batteries. So what we do is bring them into the shop with the compressor, and for the tools where the ports are, you're just going to really want to get in there and get all the dust out on the ports here where everything connects, if you will. Okay, even in there. Okay. Now, after you do that, you're going to want to find an anti-corrosive and a lubricant, and then also something that promotes electrical properties, such as this CRC that we've been using for over a decade. They actually have the food grade one as well. But just want to remind everybody, at least once a month, you want to get in there, again, get that compressor and make sure that you're going to be cleaning all the debris out from the chargers, the batteries, the tools, and then
once every 3 months, use something to protect the corrosion on all of the ports and the batteries. Now, someone said, how do you make your living? It's definitely not getting paid by CRC, but they should write me a check. So I've been using it for over 10 years. If you don't use water, but if you bring in the tools once a month for triage, clean out all those ports, make sure everything's in good working order, use something that doesn't impact the plastic parts. Now, this is also used when you go out there and you look at where the batteries go in the tools, and they have all the little levers that hold them in and then release them. It's going to lubricate those little parts, and when those little parts break on the tool, sometimes you have to replace the whole tool. So preventative maintenance with electric is going to be essential. Now here's another thing, mounting tools. Kitson Landscape, Goleta, California. You want their name? I'll give you their name, okay? These tools are 8 years old. They mount the tools. They do their preventative maintenance. They have a new SOP standard for electric, okay? They're listening, the tools are lasting. They were able to achieve a ROI a little bit after year 3 on these. They're in the gravy period. They're killing it. They're killing it. Their margins on their maintenance have increased. The BGA 85s, like I said, these things, I have one that's over 11 years old. These Husqvarnas, these are hardcore gardeners in Southern California. And I thought that they would break these tools in 6 months. But lo and behold, they're listening, they're mounting the tools, and they're putting extra security on them. Charging, if I never see you ever again, just try not to do this. Don't use homeowner-rated extension cords that are damaged and plug it into a 35 amp hour charger. This is a disaster. It's no reflection on steel at all. This is about $10,000 worth of tools, maybe a little less, but they're not even 2 years old back then. You can see that they have a homeowner-rated extension cord plugged into a power strip. And look how disastrous this is. And a bunch of flammable stuff. This company, this company's national, but their particular branch, they kept calling us. I gave them as much free information as I could. I have to account for my time, and when I came in, I had to clean up this mess. Ideally, this is what it should look like, well ventilated, and let's be very clear, AGSA is going to reveal the added cost of charging infrastructure. You may have to pull in an additional new dedicated circuit. Those circuits should be 20 amp, not 15 amp circuits. They should be 20 amp circuits that go to a 20 amp breaker dedicated. Now that green box, I know that other companies have something similar. It's called a PDM. It's kind of a turnkey solution. You plug into one outlet and it has several plugs in the back of it. And what it does is it manages all the different amperage draws to make sure you don't pop any breakers. You could daisy chain these and stack these together, 10 of them, and it will not let you go over 16 amps. So you'll never bust a breaker. A quick case study. Now, to your point, this is institutional. However, this was a pretty big job. I want to give you some examples. This was expensive, even though they got the discount at the program, it was still expensive. And this is an example of how they set up their charging infrastructure if you make the investment. And you can see there that all of the cables are managed. Everything is actually labeled. It's in a nice spacious area, and you'll see the added security on it right there. Everything is well organized. We help them spec the whole thing out. Okay, so you got to look out for this. Now, I just feel like, wow, I live in Southern California now, and my head's on a swivel. But, you know, this is starting to happen. The word is out.
The batteries you see on that table right there, they're expensive. They're the most expensive proposition in this. So if you invest in this, we're gonna encourage you to make sure that you're doing things to not allow things to just be taken off the truck or out of the shop. I know it's hard in the summertime. We're gonna suggest not storing these in a sweltering hot cab on the seat, okay? Maybe you can get one of the recommended storage bins from the manufacturer and at least put them in there and not directly on the seat. And to hit it home, protect your investment. We're almost to the finish line, and then we can go into Q&A. What I'm just gonna say with this is, batteries are like humans. Once they're born, the clock is ticking. You know, once we come out, we start breathing, and then our lifespan is gonna be determined by our DNA, genetics, and then environmental factors, right? What we do in that lifespan, it's gonna be the same with electric tools. The DNA of the platform itself, how good, how quality is it, and then what kind of cycling and abuse and use is it going to take? That's going to determine the lifespan of the batteries. Heat. Heat is going to be, with all battery chemistries for the most part that we know about, cradle to grave cycle life potential will be diminished with excessive heat exposure. We have tested these. I know all of the manufacturers has done stuff in Arizona. We do stuff in the Mojave Desert. Definitely, we feel that's the worst of it, but we know you guys get quite toasty here. In the summertime, we're just gonna recommend a ventilated area that's spacious and try to keep the heat down, especially during charging. Okay, recycling means nothing unless there's responsibility from end users. If something happens to the batteries, take them back to the place where you purchased them. The manufacturers, the responsible ones, are going to have mechanisms in place to take those batteries off of the dealer's hands and take them to the proper channels for recycling. And I know things are, I know how you feel. It gets emotional. I can't thank you enough for sitting through my presentation today. And I'll be here. I will answer not only questions in this environment, but when we go outside, I will stay here till every single last question is answered to the best of my ability. And thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Sure. And with that being said, I open it up for questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you guys made mention that you guys were going to announce to the town what this actually costs. What portion of the town are you meeting with? Are you meeting with town meeting, who is a very, very small percentage of this town's population, and you know is totally behind, or a majority of it behind this?
Yeah, I give the statistics to QC, and they take the numbers and meet with the local folks. I can tell you go ahead.
I think it's just a residential workshop tomorrow night. Yeah.
And where is that?
It's a virtual meeting.
Close to this. Well, you know, you guys have mentioned, people being charged up about all this. I don't know if you guys know, I think some of the people know just how emotional this whole thing was. And to be treated, for someone who's been here for over 65 years, and be treated the way we were when we were going through it all, absolutely has flipping torn me apart for the last 3 years. I was called an abuser, a scumbag, an asshole, a dirty human being. I was given the finger by a little lady that lives over here on Grant Street that I wanted to throw into traffic, but was told I shouldn't, for an hour while we were holding signs. And now we're supposed to, we have to be nice, otherwise nothing's gonna happen. And then we get it stuffed where the sun doesn't shine. And I'm aghast at the way the whole thing has gone over. And if you think I'm gonna calm down, I'm really not gonna calm down.
Yeah, I don't expect you to.
It's wrong.
Sorry,
Everyone
you
I've talked to,
wouldn't
I
do
talked to all the people here that are doing the equipment stuff, and no one agrees with the way this is going about the town. No one.
I'm really happy that you're able to come here today in this forum and express what you just said, and I'm sorry that you were made to feel that way, because again, we really frown on this approach right here.
I had an employee blowing off a parking lot. He was well within his right to do so, and a resident of Lexington drove his car at him. All right, stopped right at his feet, said he couldn't use the blower. Said, my boss has told me to do this, I'm doing this. He called the police, and my employee, I said, the only thing you did wrong is that when the cop came, you should have had that guy arrested for driving his vehicle at you. But if this is the stuff that's gonna go on, good luck. It's gonna be a flippin' horror show.
Your chart, you show 101 decibels for a backpack blower.
No, I don't go into decibels in my presentation.
Okay, there's 101 decibels.
That
Okay.
was a manufacturer.
Okay. It's 101 decibels. The still, when you take off the battery and you see what it is at the operator, it's 96 decibels.
At the point of, at the source point? they
At
can
the
do-
operator
Right,
who loses
they
hearing,
can-
it's at
yes.
96 decibels. The
Yes.
town of Lexington's ordinance is 80. So how can you guys be pushing an agenda that violates the law in Lexington, Massachusetts?
Do you know of an electric that's 96 decibels?
It's right on the back of the still.
Yeah,
Right
we'll
on the
have to
back.
take a look at it. Can you guys
Well, you
comment
can-
on that?
I was just at the dealer,
On the electric one?
96 dB.
So in AGS, it definitely is gonna recommend all proper PPE, and then even with electric at the source of operation, you need to wear your hearing protection for sure. I don't know about the local laws and ordinances, but if that's true, definitely that should be brought
Is
up
the
here
meeting
to the
quiet
local
though?
people.
What's the part of this, what's the name of your group?
Quiet community.
Okay, so you're telling us that we can use an electric that does 96 decibels.
Well, I don't make
I'm just saying, how can
laws,
you
but
push that? That's all I'm asking.
I think what I'm only speculating here, but what they're measuring is per ANSI standard at 50 feet.
I'm talking about my operators. I care about my employees. I
Sure.
hope you do. I don't think most of them
Trish,
do.
yeah.
The VGA, that unit, the electric blower, that decibel rating is 59.
The electric one at MB Tractor, that when I went down there and took the picture of, which I can show you, when you take off the battery, shows 96 dB. I can show you the picture.
Okay, yeah, we can look into it. I was looking at it, but for that and the
No, the
VGA
one that they're
unit,
selling now, that they say is the best product to buy, it says 96 decibels. By law in town of Lexington, it's 80.
Okay.
So what if my worker calls OSHA?
Yeah, these are things, I mean, we measure work production rates and cost of operation, gas versus electric mostly. The noise stuff is done anecdotally on our end, but as far as the dB ratings, we don't, AGSA doesn't get into the minutia of that so much, but you bring up a good point if that's the case.
Why only blowers? Why is it only blowers?
I'm not, I think because they're the most frequently used in a lot of communities, like our hourly use on blowers, I think it's actually attracting the most attention. That's at least how I see it. I'm not sure, I can't answer that, but I think people have told me they notice the blower more than others, even though some of the hedge trimmers are frankly louder. But I think it's the frequency of which the blower is used that attracts the most attention. That's what I've heard.
I think also the fact that they're, throttled up and down, they idle quite loudly. I mean, this is what I've heard from people, and the fact that they, it intrudes into their home. And they hear that.
But the most
During
important thing is
business
the
hours,
worker.
right? We're talking about during business hours, right? Like 9 to 5.
Yeah, we're talking about during business
And
hours.
people don't think that contractors should make noise from 9 to 5.
Well, people
When
can't
would-
work, they
When
can't
would be
sleep.
appropriate, we do it, would it be better?
9 to
at
5
night
is
or-
sleep
If they're nighttime workers.
Well, we're out working,
small
that's why we
kids.
can't work at night, we have to work during the
Not
day.
everybody has a trust fund.
We're just like to sit on weekends.
For the hour.
I don't
You
know. I just think the
have
other
another
thing.
question, sir? You got another question?
Me again?
Yeah.
There you go. The big sustainability issues that you guys keep on pushing, lithium, cobalt, nickel. China owns most of them now. They bought all the property over in, Chile and Argentina. We've got kids 8, 10 years old digging it out of the ground. That really sounds like a sustainable thing to do. Also, geez, God forbid, I think we need water. 550,000 gallons of water is used to 1 ton of lithium. And everybody shakes their head. 1/3 of that goes to building 1 Tesla. Tesla that catches on fire in Belmont takes 4.5 hours to put out and 45,500 gallons of water. Yeah, that sounds just something, I think it makes no flipping sense, and you can't tell me that there is enough of these things to continue to be dug out of the ground. I mean, I know my kids aren't over in Chile, but it pisses me off. Just as long as it's not in my backyard, everything's fine.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
We're-
right.
we're killing
Lithium
their
has- and all
Their
those rare
food, we're killing their
metals.
fish, we're polluting their water. So,
I think people will be more open if you guys did a lot of marketing to these homeowners that it's gonna cost them a lot more money, because give them an example, a regular blower today, $600. You buy one that's appropriate with the batteries, 8,000. That's a huge difference for a business that the average company nets a 3% profit margin.
How much
I don't think
information
the
has,
customers know that.
how much information has gone out to the residents of not just Lexington, of all the,
each resident, not just the people
We're
looking for
not
the
the town of
information.
Lexington.
Not the
No,
5%.
very little.
well, can the town of Lexington answer that for us though?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a bit of education. We hosted last spring an event of kind of what is the bylaw and some of these same issues of how can you, make changes to the aesthetic you want of your lawn, things like that. That's the type of event we're hosting on tomorrow night as well. And I think that's a great point, that kind of cost of service should be included in that message.
I mean, I think all of us go up and give bids, hopefully every day, but maybe 1 or 2 a week. I'm certainly not getting all the ones I bid on. And it's definitely a price issue at this point in time. So you think we're gonna go up another 45 or 50% and we're gonna increase? We're not gonna increase. We'll be down, way down. We can go by and look at the lady on Grant Street to see what a beautiful property she has over there. Because that almost seems what this small minority of people want everybody's places to look at. And it looks like crap. That's it.
What about alternative fuels? We were asked, but we weren't listened to.
We weren't even asked. 2 Zillow meetings.
What about the use of propane?
It never truly got legs, but when I had the green station, I had a propane powered weed whip. Along with with larger mowers, it's been successful. With handheld tools, you can hook up a little Coleman canister to it, and it just wasn't reliable.
No, for the ride-on blowers that we all use now, since we can't use our backpacks.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not even sure outside of mowers. I've never seen a large wheeled blower use propane as an energy source. I don't know what I don't know, but I do know that propane has been used successfully for large mower fleets.
Would that be included in a gas ban, the use of propane?
I'm not sure.
Who would know?
Maybe?
Would you?
Yeah, I would not know locally here. I would not.
Could someone from the town answer that question?
I don't know the answer. I can get that answer to you. I think that we'd need to, ask town council honestly on that, of kind of what the intention there is.
Have they rolled out the fines and the penalties going forward, Maggie, if that's been discussed?
The fines are included in the bylaw, and so next year, once the full ban is in place, that will be kind of an option. We're again going this next spring, really trying to work on education first. We'd like to work with you all on, not laying on fines unnecessarily, but that is something that is part of our bylaw. But
When you find the answer on the propane, can you email that out?
yeah,
Because I'd like to start converting equipment.
yes, I get it.
You have us here, go ahead. Anything else? And I'll be available, like I said, all day long.
Well, sadly, our issues is not with your association. You know, you've made a wonderful presentation, but our issues are local. You know, they're directed at the town issues. You know, the fact that if we did 200 cleanups last year, come next fall, there's absolutely no way we're gonna be able to even manage them. But even if we raise the price up, it's just not enough time in a day and in the season. So we're gonna be reducing client bases, and that's, you know, nothing that you really can help us with. That's our issues.
I'm sure it's
Thank you for coming today and your time, I appreciate it.
a good thing it was raining.
You know what? At first I was like, oh man, it's raining, but then I told Jamie, I said, actually that could work out. But I stayed the entire morning yesterday at the transfer station on Knox Road and was handing out flyers, and you know, I was going and engaging with residents and proprietors, asking people's opinion and trying to get people here. But we do appreciate the dialogue. I think it's productive nonetheless, and I'm happy that you were able to express the concerns that you have locally here.
They're not listened to, but absolutely zero is listened to. 2 Zoom calls. And one of them, once you spoke, you couldn't speak again.
Yeah, I'll just add on the town side. I mean, I personally was not here kind of in the initial conversations. No, I know.
Pulled you aside and I apologized earlier.
No, it's understood. I just want to kind of make the point that this came forward as a citizen's article at town meeting. Any citizen can, with 10 signatures, put something on the warrant. And it passed, and then it came to the town on enforcement, and we are doing what we can. We've held some sessions with you. We brought up the concern about can we delay the ban. That was not approved at town meeting, so there are...
That was the only unfortunate part about the whole thing, is that people were in town meeting were saying, do not listen to the landscape lobby. We didn't have anything to do with bringing that up in front of town meeting, and that's part of the stuff that they pull all the time.
I agree. I think there's misinformation about this issue, and I think some of the events, like the events with residents tomorrow night and future conversations with residents, I think that's a big area that the town can work on and looks to work on going forward. So I'll echo the thank you for taking time out of your day, and hope we can continue to work together as much as we can.
Thank you, Maggie. I'd just like to add one thing, and that, Maggie came to us and said, how can we support local landscapers and municipalities in this effort? And so this stems from that request and, her hope to really help in some way with the transition. So the idea is to start a dialogue. It's not easy, but I think Maggie's, also doing the best with the situation that she has and trying to lend support to you all. So.
Thank you, Maggie. And Casey. And one last thing. Some of the manufacturers have incentives through us. We don't sell equipment at all, but some of the manufacturers will give you credit for these classes and sometimes actually issue same as cash vouchers. Make sure that you put your name down on that sheet, and then we're going to see if you might be able to qualify for some of those credits. If you do, we will get in touch with you by email, and some of the vouchers are up to $1,000 and they're redeemable at any of these manufacturers' dealers. So yeah.
Dan also just mentioned to people about NALP credits, CEUs.
Yeah,
If anybody's.
yeah, sure. If you want, make sure, again, that you can get the NALP credits for this session, if you're part of that ecosystem as well. And we'll make sure that you're credited. I think this could qualify for up to 4 credits this one session. Yeah.
I just have one quick question, maybe the answer is about, as far as charging these batteries during the day, there's like a lot of companies that, you know, don't have access at night to charge. And I've talked to a few people, and they're, you know, saying they're gonna put generators on their trailers and running those. I mean, isn't that gonna create a whole nother, because I know there's a group of, I live in this town, and I know there's a group, small group that is, you know, really behind this whole thing. And I can see those people, like, it's just gonna, like what Mike said, like, these people are gonna be, some of these people are gonna have to use a generator and run it. Like, I know on my truck, my inverter has to be running. There's an anti-idle law in town. I was going to go to town meeting this fall to see if they could, you know, allow people, landscapers, you know, to get excluded from that, but the town meeting members that I talked to said, don't even waste your time, because the town meeting won't even listen to it, and we'll just, so I can see, once this goes forth, it's gonna get real contentious with how people, like, you know, people don't have enclosed trailers that they can do solar. They don't have a shop that they can park the things in. So now they're gonna be running generators, so I mean, it's like, you know, people aren't like the noise of the generator.
So, yeah, definitely no immediate answers there, but I will say, please meet with the manufacturer today. I know that Husqvarna and Steel definitely has some new charging systems that can lend to maybe 1-2 circuits being used to charge multiple batteries safely. So again, no immediate answers on that. And we know that there's solar trailers out there. We've been tracking one in New Jersey for 3 years. It's our solar trailer case study. And it is working, but the rig, it cost about $40,000, the trailer and the entire solar system to put that one together. I don't know if you saw in the videos, I put solar panels on top of the van. I wasn't able to make a business model out of solar trailers back then, but I understand that it's a possibility now. But again, that upfront cost, if you're a gas business model and you're trying to convert to that model, it's gonna be a lot more difficult than an electric-borne situation, if you will. But please, they have the charging racks. I know Steel has something, there's the PDM. So there are some things that can help you with turnkey charging solutions and charging multiple batteries for a lower cost. And let's make sure that we explore that with the manufacturers that are here today.
Was that figured into the ROI you were talking about?
Yes.
The initial cost?
It does. And this is why we always expose the hidden costs of charging infrastructure. This is why I'm flushing it out here in this forum. For Four Seasons and the Prologis ones, each 2 trailers, we accounted for $6,000 of charging infrastructure, which that's what it cost them. $3,000 a trailer.
What about the shops?
The shops, fortunately, their shops had enough power to just basically use the power distribution managers with the existing outlets. Well, what do you say we all take a little break? Let's get some lunch and let's go out there and shoot the breeze, with the manufacturers. Thanks, everyone.